Hi everyone, and welcome to session 6 of the Power Pause, your monthly edge to communicate, lead, and thrive. If this is your first time here, I am Smita D. Jain, executive coach, personal empowerment life coach, NLP practitioner, author, and a 3-time TEDx speaker. I work closely with senior professionals, CXOs, and driven leaders to help them speak with confidence, lead with impact, and thrive in careers that feel meaningful and not just impressive on paper. This series, The Power Pause, is something I created intentionally. It's a space for those of us juggling people, projects, priorities to just stop, breathe, and reflect. Sometimes that's all we need, a pause with purpose. And today's pause, it's a powerful one. So I'm going to talk about burnout today. Not the loud, dramatic kind that ends in collapse, but the quiet kind that simmers beneath the surface. The kind that high performers rarely talk about, but often live through. Now, I was thinking that we are in October, and those of us in India know that it's a month of festivities. Dussehra just got over, and we are all gearing up to celebrate Diwali. So the mood is festive. And I was sort of wondering whether I take this topic for my Power Pause session this month or postpone this to some other Power Pause session. But then I feel it's the right time. We are celebrating, we are enjoying in the festivities. It's just the right time for us to take care of ourselves. We are also important, and we often, unfortunately, forget this fact. That is why I thought this is just the right time for me to share my views to you about the burnout backlash and creating your own definition of success before it's too late. Now, before I go further, feel free to put your questions on the chat box. Do also drop in your name. I will pause periodically to address them. Let's move forward, and let me share something very personal with you. So, I spent over a decade and a half in high pressure corporate roles. On paper, everything looked perfect. I had the titles, the numbers, the accolades. But inside, I felt like I was running a race. A race I didn't remember signing up for. Tired, wired, successful, but not fulfilled. And I didn't even have the language for it then. But now I know I was quietly burning out. So, if you have ever felt that, the slow erosion of meaning, the constant low level fatigue, the nagging question, is this all there is? You are not alone. And the conversation today, this is for you. Let me take a moment to share what I have been seeing and hearing. One of my clients, a top performing sales leader, once said to me during our session, Smita, I wake up tired and I go to bed wired. I'm doing everything I have always done, but it's like I am in a fog. That's the hidden cost of burnout. You wake up tired, you go to bed still switched on to work, and you still feel behind while doing the work. You are not lazy, you are depleted. You are burnt out. I have gone through this at a stage in my career, so I know. And here's the truth, burnout isn't always dramatic. Often it's quiet, creeping, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Because it doesn't scream for help, it whispers, and we ignore those whispers. Now today, I'm going to encourage you to listen to that whisper, not with fear, but with curiosity. And most importantly, with compassion. Let's talk about what we can do when we are doing everything right and still not feeling right. So, I'm going to share with you 5 to 6 strategies, tactics, call it whatever, to overcome burnout. First, audit your energy, not your time. Let's begin with what we don't usually track, our energy. Most professionals manage time, very few manage energy. We fill our calendars, meet deadlines, check all the boxes. But how often do we ask, what fuels me? What drains me? One of my clients, a regional business head, once told me, I don't get it, Smita. I'm doing everything I always did, but it feels heavier. So we did a simple exercise. For 1 week, he tracked his energy instead of his tasks. What time of the day lifted him? What depleted him? And it became very clear. The work wasn't harder. He was just more disconnected from what gave him life, enthusiasm. You might want to try this too. For the next 5 days, rate your energy after every meeting or major task on a scale of 1 to 5. The patterns will surprise you and inform what you need to reclaim. So that was the first point. Audit your energy, not just time. Let's now go to point number 2. Redefine success from the inside out. Let's take some time to re-examine our definition of success and what happens when success doesn't feel like success. So there was a moment towards the end of my 14-year corporate tenure. I had just received another glowing performance review. Everyone around me was congratulating me. But I remember sitting alone, staring at that performance report on the system and feeling empty. That was the word, empty. It hit me hard then. I was living someone else's definition of success. So I paused. I reflected. I asked myself, what does success mean to me now? And that moment became a turning point for me. And eventually, that was the start of my pivot from the corporate world to coaching and writing. So here's a gentle prompt for you. What does success mean to you today, this week, this month? Take whatever time frame resonates with you. But what does success mean to you at the present moment? Not last year, not 5 years ago, now. Define it in one sentence. That was my suggestion, strategy, tactic number 2. Redefine success from the inside out. Now, before I go further, let me take a pause and see if there are any questions coming here. There may be a lag. Hi Divya, good to see you again. Rohan is saying hi. Hi Rohan. Okay, feel free to drop your questions anytime in the chat. So let's move on. Point number 3. Use strategic no's to protect what matters. Here's another truth that often goes unspoken. Burnout doesn't always come from doing things you hate. Now this is important and let me repeat this again. Burnout doesn't always come from doing things you hate. Sometimes it comes from doing many things you like, which you do for too long without pause. One client of mine, a marketing leader, used to say yes to every new opportunity that came her way. Every event, every review, every after hours brainstorm. And after a while, she started dreading the very things she once enjoyed. Together we worked on rebuilding what I call her strategic no muscle. Simple phrases like, let me come back to you on that. This week's quite full. Can we revisit next month? They helped. So boundaries don't block your growth, they protect it. That was point number 3. Use strategic no's to protect what matters. Another thing that helps protect you, point number 4. Rebuild your identity beyond your role. When you pour all of yourself into your work, your role becomes your identity. And when that role starts to feel misaligned, it's not just your job that suffers, it's your sense of self. I remember a client of mine, and engineering manager in an automotive company, who started playing the flute again after nearly 2 decades. 15 minutes a day. No performance, no agenda, just for joy. 3 months later, his emotional state shifted completely. You are more than your job title. You deserve to experience that truth outside the workplace too. That was point number 4. Rebuild your identity beyond your role. Which brings me to something else I want to say to you, especially if you are a high performer. You are not your output, you are not your inbox, you are not your checklist. So that is my point number 5 for you. Detach self-worth from output. Your value is not measured in how many things you ticked off today. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you will do in a day is rest, or listen, or choose kindness over speed. Start asking yourself, what part of me did I honor today? Not only what did I complete. Detach self-worth from output. Now, before I go to the final point for today, let me take a pause and see if there are any questions or comments coming in the chat box. Yeah. Hey Vivian, glad you are finding it useful. Thanks so much. Okay, it does seem there are no further questions. So let me move on to my point number 6, the final point. You are not broken. You may just not be feeling heard. Now there's a trend being spoken about today, quite cracking. It's when professionals continue to deliver, continue to show up, but inside they are slowly unraveling. Not because they don't care, but because no one is listening. And sometimes they are not even listening to themselves. Now, listening is a very important part of communication. In fact, let me take a pause here and digress a little bit because this is important. And if you want to prevent, as leaders, if you want to prevent quiet cracking within your team, within your organization, you have to start using listening as a communication tool. So some of you or most of you may be knowing by now about this book, Leading with Words, that came out last month. In chapter 3 about this book, I write about listening as a communication tool. Now, let me just take a moment to read an excerpt from this chapter pertaining to listening. So, there's a question in this book. How do I come across as a good listener? Priya added, Rajesh, it's not only about listening, but also how you come across as a listener. People are likelier to open up to someone who appears approachable and attentive. How can I come across as a good listener? Asked Rajesh eagerly. Karthik explained, one way to do it is to avoid interrupting or finishing the speaker's sentences. Let them express themselves fully without feeling rushed or cut off. Priya agreed. Yes, interrupting can make the speaker feel undervalued and can also inhibit open communication. Instead, show genuine interest in what they say by asking follow-up questions or offering supportive comments. Rajesh observed. So it's important to not only listen but also demonstrate that I am listening through my actions and responses. Precisely, replied Karthik. By being fully present, engaged, and responsive, you will naturally become a good listener, fostering trust and rapport with those around you. So that was an excerpt from my book, Leading with Words, available on Amazon, Flipkart, and all the leading bookstores in the country. Now, while this chapter was important because listening to others is important to make them feel valued, listening goes way deeper. You need to listen to yourself. That's what I call deep listening. So, just like I said, it's important to listen to others without interrupting, without any response, without judgment. This thing creates space for trust to take root. This is also equally important when you listen to yourself. Take those pauses, take those reflection time to listen to your inner dialogue, and avenues will open up. This may prevent you from going the quite cracking way. Sometimes what we need isn't another productivity hack. We need presence. And the most powerful conversation we will have isn't necessarily with a client or colleague. It's with ourselves. Once again, that's what Leading with Words is all about. Rebuilding presence, trust, and influence through the power of intentional communication. You will find the link to order the book in the comments. And when you do, there's a free companion workbook waiting for you too. So you can go to my website www.lifecoachsmitardjain.com/book. There's a form there. You simply fill your name, your order number, attach the order screenshot, and then a free workbook to apply the concepts in Leading with Words will be shared with you. Okay, so let me take a pause and see if any of you have any questions for me. Can you summarize? Yes, I thank you for this. I was just about to do that. So we spoke about burnout, backlash, and how to redefine the way we look at success. Here are your 6 takeaways for today. First, track your energy. Time is limited, energy can be managed. Number 2, define success by how it feels, not just by how it looks. Third, say no with intention. Your boundaries build your sustainability. Fourth, reconnect with yourself outside the badge. Your identity is bigger than your LinkedIn bio. Fifth, you are worthy even on non-productive days. Your value is not your volume. And sixth, you are not broken. Maybe you are just not being heard. Start listening inward and outward. So now, where do you go from here? Let me leave you with a small weekly nudge. Your Power Pause challenge for this month to bring this session that I had with you today into your real world. It's not a to-do list. Think of it as a gentle realignment, 1 week at a time till we meet next month. So week 1, start noticing your energy. What fuels you? What drains you? Don't judge yourself. Just be aware. Week 2, redefine success. Not as the world sees it, but as you feel it. Just one sentence. Yours. Week 3, reconnect with a part of yourself that has nothing to do with work. Maybe it's music, maybe it's movement, maybe it's stillness. Reconnect. Week 4, speak up. Have that one conversation where you share your thought with intention. Let your presence be felt. If even one of these shifts spoke to you, I would love to know. Drop a simple challenge accepted in the comments. And if you have already tried something like this, share what shifted. You never know who you might inspire. So that was all for today. Today's session is the beginning, not the end. If you are someone who prefers to reflect and recalibrate on your own, my book, leading with words can be a powerful companion on this journey. You will find the link in the comments along with the link to a bonus workbook to guide your next steps. But if you'd rather not do it alone, if you'd like deeper support in navigating burnout, realigning your career, growing in your profession, or reclaiming your energy, I would be honored to walk that path with you. You will also find the link to book a strategy session with me in the comments. Until next time, have a great festive season. Wish you a very happy Diwali in advance. Stay aware, stay gentle with yourself, celebrate this season well with family and friends, and lead with words that truly reflect who you are. Thank you for pausing with me today. I will see you next month. Good evening, good night.